right now we have Romi Bean joining the show.
Where's her headset? Okay. She can have yours. There she is.
W's in the chat. W's in the chat for Romi Bean.
Dubs in the chat for Romy.
Dubs?
Oh, God.
I'm just
Are
so
you
excited.
okay?
You just know how to make an
I
entrance.
was just barreling my way in here, you guys. I'm so excited.
We fought hard for all of our interviews today, but, man, it's hard to lock you down, Romy.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I tell you what, when DNVR comes calling, no, for real?
About time we got you on this.
I know.
I have, first of all, this is the best Buffs talk in the nation.
Let's go.
In the world,
Thank you
let's
so
be honest.
much.
And I think you could, nobody would doubt that. But it really is. You guys, it's such an honor to be on because I love your guys' talk. And I love that two things. First of all, RK is just so true and true. I love it. We don't have, I don't know, this day and age, a lot of people become fans. But you're just bred, and it's so cool. And then with Jake, when Jake got here, the Buffs were really bad. It was right at the end of the Durrell disaster, and I remember we met up and we were having beers before Rocky's game, and I was like, have fun, man. and then they hire Prime, and then at Prime's spring presser, Jake comes up to me and goes, how you like me now? And I was like, all right, I like this guy.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate all of the compliments, but I have to say, I think some of the best Buffs coverage that's been out there is your conversations that you've had with Coach Prime. It's cool. He's so good in a setting where you kind of get him away from. Well, he's good in all the settings, but I really I feel like he opens up a lot in those one-on-one settings, and you've done such a great job with that. What has that been like for you?
Yeah, thank you so much. That means the world. It's been unbelievable. It was one of those things where I got lucky that our station was the one who got the show, and it was such a challenge because I think you guys will agree. I've never met anyone who fills a room the way Prime fills a room.
Oh yeah.
So professionally, to not shrink in his presence, right? To not be someone I'm not and try to be like, oh, and keep up with him was a great challenge, I think, for me professionally, but also earning his trust. He kind of came in there and was like, all right, who's this person, right? I'm obligated to do this show. And it became something where I could feel our relationship grow, and I was earning his trust by what I was asking him, by how I was approaching, him and his season, and we would lucky enough to have some players on, and that was really cool to see how he's just so real, right?
Yep.
And once he realizes oh, you're here for the right reasons, I'm here, I'm going to be open and honest, and he was so great. And on air or off air, it didn't matter what I asked him. He'd be so open and honest about it. And I appreciated that so much. And I know there are some people that are like, ask the hard-hitting questions, but at the end of the day, it is a coach's show. So I understand the people that maybe wanted me to ask harder-hitting questions, but that's not really what it's about, you know? And so I think that I can't wait to try and level up and get to know him better, make myself better, and bring a better product. But it's just so cool how he's so open and willing, as long as you pay him respect, but you got to earn his respect.
And in the end, your role in that position is to get interesting answers.
Yeah.
And so if you sat up there and you're like, Coach, why don't you run the ball more? You're not going to get good content out of that.
Right.
You've got this incredibly unique opportunity to sit down one-on-one with Deion Sanders, with Coach Prime. You're not going to use that time to try and put his back up against the wall and get him to say your job is to get cool stuff, and you've done such a great job of it. And I think when you have the players on, it's okay, well now we want to tell interesting stories and get to that's. You said you understand people who want that. It's nice of you to say that. I don't understand it at all.
Well, I appreciate that, and it's funny because
when people go ahead.
Well, the other thing too is that show, we don't have a lot of time. It ends up being 15 minutes of content at most, which stinks, right? I wish it was longer than that. And so a lot of times it just goes off the rails because he'll start going, and that's what I try and do. I try and stay out of it.
Yep.
Get him going and let him go, because nobody wants to hear from me. They want to hear from him. And with the players, we've had a couple great interactions where that's the whole thing. I just kind of try and tee him off a little bit, and then they, he razzes them and gives them a hard time. And the Jimmy Horn story he told after TCU, that was so unexpected. That was the first guest we had, and I was like, oh my gosh. And so it's so cool because that's what I try and do. Just let them roll with it, and he does. He rolls with it. We get like him talking about the student section.
Oh,
I mean, it was hilarious.
The weed clip?
The weed clip was
Yes.
hysterical, right? And he just kind of, I had asked him like his memories of Folsom, and he was being sentimental, and then he just like went into that, and I was like, that was so epic.
What was it like having Shiloh on the show that one time?
Oh my gosh, Shiloh is such a character. Dude, Shiloh is, it was really fun too. It was fun talking. You can tell he's always a really smart football player, you know? And he appreciates kind of talking about the game. But the two of them together, all year I wanted, would have been great to get Shador, but I kind of knew that wasn't going to happen. But I wanted Shiloh all year, so to wrap it with that was so fun. Again, just let them go.
Yeah.
Right? The two of them, let them go. Yep. And they're so funny together, right? I feel like he's probably the closest to Prime's personality.
Yep.
Oh, totally.
And so that was, I had the best time on that show. And actually, I thought we were just going to get him for the second segment. And then Prime's like, no, if he's here, he's going to do the whole show. I was like, okay. So we talked like a tiny bit about the last game, but basically scrapped everything and kind of let him roll. And it was great.
Denver.
Go ahead.
Denver's mostly been a Broncos town, but really since Coach Prime got here, it's really shifted. You spent a lot more time in Boulder. What's that change been like in just hanging around Boulder and Folsom a lot?
Oh my gosh, it's the best. Well, I went to CU, so I was a proud alumnus, but of course I went there the Dan Hawkins era.
Me too.
I actually still have, they sold at the student store a shirt that said, "It ain't intramurals, brother." Do you know that? I still have that shirt. But it was not the highs of highs, but I used to go, and I remember I loved going to the games, and all my friends I would go with would leave at halftime. That was just like how it was. And I was like, I had one friend, and we would stay. Like, we were the only two of our group of friends that would stay. And so it's so cool to see your alma mater. It's something, college football is different. It's so special.
It's
There's a vibe. You can't explain it. And so to see all of that come back to Colorado is so amazing. And I can't help but kind of be a homer, and I have no shame about that at all.
Even when some weirdo goes after you on Twitter for
yeah,
it?
did not expect that.
I can't remember who their name is.
After the TCU game, some guy came after me, and and his band of trolls were just, oh my gosh, basically calling me the biggest hack ever. But it was, you know what? It was kind of great. It was the first time in my life I had gotten like that much hate on the internet, and I think it's so interesting because that's such a microcosm of the life Prime lives, right?
Yep.
He's so divisive where you either love him or you hate him. And some people just love to hate him, and it's unbelievable. But to see how he handles it, right? Because that got me down, man. People were just coming after me. And to see how he handles that, and he uses that, and he somehow channels that into positivity, I think is a big thing. But I feel like you guys can probably relate to this too.
Definitely.
It's just, there are some people that just watch you because they hate him so much, but they can't stop watching.
Yep.
You know, it's like, turn it off then. It's crazy.
You can say hi to a bunch of them right now.
Yeah, they're probably watching right now.
I've never seen someone who is like, he's so magnetic and so, I guess, divisive, but it's so funny because I don't know why you would want to waste your energy hating this man, because he's incredible. And he's an incredible human, and what I think has stood out to me most from the shows is the care factor. The interaction he has with those players, especially off air, and he's checking in with them, "You good, man? How's your mom?" Like, and that's real. That's not fake, right? That's why players want to come play for him. Besides the fact that obviously he's done it, he's got the gold jacket, they know he can get him to the next level. He genuinely cares about them as people, and I think that gets lost a lot. People they think, it's just about the money. No, he wants to set them up as human beings as well.
100%. I think it's so funny because not only do people spend so much energy hating him, but you mentioned it. Like, it goes it overflows, so they want to hate you. They want to hate us. They'll just hate anything within his atmosphere. It's like, geez, you are putting a lot of energy into this disdain of a person that you definitely don't know, because if you did know them, you wouldn't feel that way about them. I want to talk a little bit about you, though, because people come and watch your show, but they don't get a lot of time to get to know you. Well, we have a little space for that here. You've spent a lot of time in your life around football.
Yeah, I all sorts. So I grew up, I have 4 older brothers. There was no hope for me. And my mom was like, oh, man. But I got into football when I was a little kid, and my dad started bringing me to the Broncos games. And I fell in love with it. But I couldn't play it, right? And so, I guess you could play flag football now. I totally would have done that in high school now if they offered that.
Which position?
Oh, man. I think been a running back. Like, I had some speed, especially when I was younger. Not so much anymore.
You could lower the shoulder.
But But I feel like I got really heavy into dance, and in high school I was on the Palms team, and we were on the sidelines, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like in the game as close as I could be. And so it allowed me, I realized I want to just like keep being as close to the game as I possibly could. And so I tried out to be a Denver Broncos cheerleader, really because I wanted to be on the sideline. Like most girls do it because they love to dance. There's not a ton of options, like once you get past 18 dance-wise. And so I was an okay dancer. We like to say everybody makes it for different reasons. You know? I was one of the girl in the back couple lines. Proud of it. But, I mean, I was talking about that with Todd, being on the sidelines for the Super Bowl 50 year, I'm a defensive girl, too. I'm like, I know we live in a world of offense, but I'm a defensive stan. Getting to watch that defense game wreck was probably like one of the best gifts of my life. Oh, my gosh, that season was incredible.
Yep.
So in some fashion or form, I've always I love football. I love it so much, and to be connected to it in different ways is so great.
Well, and then you kept it rolling into this career.
Yes, I kind of fell. I like to say ass first into it.
You can say that here.
So I started doing. I know it's nice. I was like, hey, wait, I can say that. I got into radio. I was a cheerleader like 2 different stints. I did it for 7 years. That's a very long time. Mm-hmm. But my first year out of it, I was like, Chris Harris was like, do you miss it? And I was like, you know how football is like a young man's sport? And cheerleading's like a young woman's sport, you know? By the end, I was like 57 in cheerleader years. Like the body was not having it. But I met up with Andy Lindahl, who still does radio, great guy. And I'll forever be grateful for him because he gave me a chance, you know? Mm-hmm. He was like, there's a lot of cheerleaders who are kind of interested, and it's in media, and in some ways it's like it makes sense, it's a natural transition, but Andy had always offered to like all the girls who'd express interest, like, hey, if you want to come to the station, I can get you a job, but I can like show you around, whatever. I can kind of show you what you do. I showed up the next day, and he was like, oh my God, nobody's ever actually showed up before.
Wow.
But that's the example, right? If somebody says it, just do it. So I, for like 6 months, just would go and I'd watch a show, and I learned how to do things. And I did it like after work and after Broncos practice. And then eventually I quit my job. I was in sales, and I was terrible at it. I couldn't sell anything to anybody. I'll make this quick, sorry.
No.
And then I just worked my way up. I started as like a board op, you know, just pressing buttons, and slowly, and then slowly got an on-air role. And then eventually they took a flyer on me over at CBS. And then I was doing that in the mornings part-time and doing radio and working another job. And then I moved back in with my parents because I couldn't afford my rent, you know, all the stuff. And I feel grateful that it happened. It was almost like a second chapter because I feel like I started late, right? I didn't get into media until like my late 20s, right? So it's such a blessing. It's such a gift. And to be able to like, somehow still be part of the game, and now with CU is just, what a gift.
Well, and I love it. And the reason I want to bring up that story, because I think like a lot of us can relate to it.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
Exactly. Like, for me, there was a realization at some point in my life. I didn't have the excuse that you had, but I was like, I'm not going to be playing football for the rest of my life, you know? Like, I'm not good enough. And I was like, I got to figure out another way to be around it, you know? Like, in sports in general, you love it, and there's a vibe and a certain kind of energy that exists around these sports and these games and these teams, and you're just like, I got to figure out a way to be around that, and I think you can relate to it too.
Oh, definitely. And that's, I mean, a lot of this has been really rewarding, and I think it's just Coach Prime and what he does. Like, he is such a grinder himself, and I think he is able to recognize not only in his players and his coaches and the team, but in other people who can go out and get it, and he likes to reward those people, and we've kind of reaped the benefits. It's been amazing.
I feel like I feel a kinship with you guys in a lot of ways because it's about breaking the mold, right? Like, so the way when I started, especially in like TV, they're like, don't talk about the fact that like you were a cheerleader, like, and I get it now because it was like we're trying to establish you, and people are, oh, the stupid cheerleader wants to be on TV. Like, I get it now, but it was really hard for me because I was like, but that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I got here, and it's been very full circle for me to like now be so proud of it and be able to talk about it. So because it is a huge part to feel like I've made it to that point. But the idea of like who I am on TV a lot of times is just not like I think a lot of the other sports reporters because I wasn't classically trained, and I kind of, I do have a bit of a homer edge, and I don't care about that. But like with you guys, it's like you completely broke the mold. And what you have started now, I feel like it's so cool because everybody's trying to copy you, which is the biggest compliment, right? But what you guys do is you just continue to raise the bar every single day, and the way you make everyone feel so included is so cool. And I think that it is we always talk about like the new era of sports media, or what I like to say is like there's so many different, right? When that guy was coming after me that first week after the TCU game, that was my realization of like there's not one way to tell sports. You can be the non-biased journalist, and that's great because there's a place for those guys, right? You can be a very passionate homer because there's a place for those guys, right? And it's like, who are you? Where do you fall on the spectrum? And I love how you guys have turned what I like to say a little bit more of a fan-based maybe perspective.
Totally.
And it's been so cool watching you guys start and where you are now and just explode, and how it's the people. It's you guys. So it's so cool.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
and it's something that Adam Mata has actually said to me when we were making transition to DNVR, and he was like, look, if there's a big scandal, the true journalist is going to do a better job than us of telling that story. And like, we can live with that. But if there's a big win and an electric atmosphere at the stadium, like they're not going to be able to tell that story as well as we can.
Totally.
And again, we're not ever saying like there's no room for that, but a lot of times it happens the other way, and it's not everyone. But I think in the end, it's just about authenticity. Like whatever you truly are and truly feel, like people can connect with that, and I think you do a great job of that too.
What has been your guys' favorite thing about covering the Buffs?
We're doing the interview here, all right?
I can't help it. I'm curious, like a cat.
What has been the favorite part of covering this?
Your guys' season.
Besides TCU?
The TCU game was unbelievable, but I think I'll answer from a larger scale. To me, it has been the people that have come around the program. It's just so different from what we were used to. Like, everyone knows I've been around the program my whole life. It was like pretty much the same people. Like sometimes they're winning, some new people come in, but it was still this kind of same group. And the diversity and the spectrum of the people that now care about this program. I mean, literally last night, we're at the media party, and I run into a guy and his wife, Miles and Kristen, I think I got that right, who work here in Las Vegas. They work for the Raiders, but they love Coach Prime, and they watch our show.
That's so cool.
And it was like the coolest thing ever, and I just think that, to me, is the best part of this, is like meeting all these new people who care about it, and it's for something that I've spent my whole life caring so much about, it's so cool to see new people that care about it.
Yeah, I mean, meeting the players and the coaches and all these new people that have come in have been great, but like meeting Neely, like, you know what I mean? That was like transformational for us, really, I think, and we're going to be able to do a ton of stuff with him just moving forward because of that. And I think just meeting those people and finally just seeing CU relevant, I guess. It's just really cool to be a part of the movement altogether, so.
What about you?
Well, first of all, I do want to say, like, when I talk about breaking the mold, when you guys like first teamed up with Neely, I'm like, nobody else would have thought of that. And first of all, it's the personalities. It's not like you just did that for a business move. Like, you guys mesh so well as people. But it's just, it's incredible because it's a resource and an outlook that we can't get anywhere else. But we go to DNVR Buffs because I can get that from you. And it's like, again, you guys thought of that, and it's you said it's been transformational. It's been transformational for Buffs fans, though, to watch that. I've just absolutely loved that. For me, it's been just everything. I think the passion, the excitement, and feeling, I always like to say, like, feeling somehow, some way, a small part of it. Like, as it's so interesting because when I got into media, I kind of thought you'd be more, like, part of it. When you hear, like, the old codgers talk about, like, how they were just, like... Oh, yeah. They were like buddies with like
Woody Page was like flying on the team plane with the Broncos.
Yeah, right? And like just like all these stories about, Les Shapiro, rest in peace, like he after his shows, he used to work at CBS, I guess he'd be on the phone, they said, for like 3 hours between the 6 and the 10, just talking with guys, like so I was like, wow, like I thought that was kind of what it was. And it's so different. I think we are certainly kept more at an arm's length now, but still to find a way to feel like you're a small piece of it and connect with the community. Not so much obviously to have good relations with the teams and the players and whatever, but it's more about the community for me, right? And being a conduit in some small way. And that's been the most gratifying part, especially with CU, because I feel like it's brought this massive community from all over and connecting with people that normally it's, I guess not in market because there's Broncos and Nuggets fans everywhere and Avs fans everywhere, but it just feels so much more broad. And it's been so special to feel like a tiny little pebble in this connecting with this huge community. I feel so grateful for it. It like juices you up every day, right? And yeah, there's going to be the haters, whatever, but the community and the lovers, for lack of a better word, is so much better. It's so gratifying. And I think it's really fun. There's a piece that's so proud as your alma mater to see people talking about CU and people walking around in CU gears and excited about CU and to think that, like, I was thinking, gosh, 10, 15 years down the road, it's like this is always going to be such a pivotal moment for us as Buffs alumni, as Buffs fans, as whatever you are in Buffs history, right? Like, the program will never be the same, and it's so exciting to think about, like, what might happen in the next 5, 10, whatever years. It's exciting, and I love people being excited about CU.
Just to add to that, just for me starting in 2022, that 1-11 team, and just going to the games and meeting like the true diehard CU fans, and kind of learning how much passion they have for this program, how proud they are to be an alumni or a fan or just associated with the program, and then to have the glow up this last year, like to have them be able to experience that was really cool for me.
Cool. So. All right, before we let you go, Romy, what are you working on while you're out here? Where can people find what you're doing?
Yeah, we're busy. I'm actually working for CBS NewsPath. So NewsPath is like all of our stations. So all my stuff's going out to all of the CBS stations, which is really, I feel insanely blessed and grateful to do. So I'm trying to do not just Denver-based content, but kind of stuff that's nationally appealing as well. Big things I'm working on. I finally got a hold of Ed McCaffrey, so I got a good Ed and Christian piece coming out. And then I'm hoping to get a hold of Mike Shanahan later in the week and do a Shanny and Kyle piece. So those are the ones that I'm really passionate and excited about. And then just a ton of stuff. I sat down with Tony Romo yesterday, you guys. That was so cool. I tried to pitch a Romy Romo show. Wasn't having it, but I tried. I gave it a go.
He shot it down?
Well, yeah. He's a busy man. Politely was like, that's, but shoot your shot.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course.
But yeah, so I'm all over the place. I'm trying to be active on social at Romi Bean. And then, if you do watch CBS, local TV, some people do. A lot of people don't. But we'll be around on CBS. That's mostly where I'm at.
All right. Thank you, Romy.
And here for a couple hours.
Yeah,
a little
let's
bit.
Go.
Thanks for having me on, you guys.
We'll have to have you down at the bar.
I would love to. I've been wanting to be on this show since it started, so it's an honor.
Let's go. We're happy to have you. We'll have you again. All right, there she is, Romi Bean.
Thanks, Romy.